Welcome back to the Chasing Common Ground podcast. And today's episode is really, really cool because I have quite a few relatives over in Denmark. I basically call them all my cousins. And today on the show, I am joined by Liv. So, Liv, I would love it if you could tell the audience a bit more about yourself. I got to visit you last summer. I stayed with you and your family. I visited two different sets of relatives when I was over in Denmark, and I had the best time, and I was really sad when I went home. So I would love for my audience to kind of get to know more about you. So take it away.
Yes, I'm Liv. I'm 40 years old now, and I have three kids. A teenager that's 14, one that's 10, and a little one that's 2 years old. And most of my time I use on exploring the health industry, fitness industry. And I've done that for the last 10, 15 years maybe. I've been working on and off in that area, but mostly alone. I always work with people and in different life situations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's something that is important for people to kind of like pull from the conversation. It's that so much of what people experience just in the other facets of life contributes to their impact on others. One thing that kind of stands out to me about you is your ability to have so much empathy for other people and compassion. And I'm curious if you can think of a time where that became evident to you. Like, for example, in my own experiences, sometimes I'll have empathy or compassion for somebody who's just starting out on like a business journey, because I remember when I was first starting in the fitness industry. And in other instances, I might have empathy or compassion for somebody of a different background because I just have like friends of a different background. So I'm curious to know if there's any moments in just your life as a whole where you started to notice that like you really, really care about other people and what they're going through, and you kind of want to help them out of that situation.
I think I think like when I was in ninth grade, we moved to Nepal. And the experience, I grew up in the Faroe Islands, small country, 18 islands, well, 45,000 people when I lived there. So it's kind of small and everyone knows each other, and I'm used to a place where everyone helps each other. And I went to Nepal and saw all the poverty. Yeah, I think that was kind of an eye opener for me. And from that moment, I knew whatever I wanted to be, I wanted to help people somehow. And my mom always told me that I can't save the whole world. So that's kind of, that's when it started. And then I think, I guess the last job I had where I met a young girl that didn't really have close relatives that were helping her, either caring for her, giving a hug, like simple things like that I'm used to, or supporting like her in what she wanted to do. That that made it extra hard for me to just leave it as a job.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of felt not that I needed to save her, but I felt that I need to show her that it's okay to be vulnerable because she never cried, and it's okay to ask for help. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not, you don't lose because you ask for help. So I feel like I learned a lot because a lot of those things I take for given. Like, of course you can ask for help. Of course you can get a hug or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the big ones like that. I'm not gonna forget that one for sure. Yeah. I guess Nepal was the big change thing, but I was a teenager, so I went back home and to the safe area, and from that time I thought, I need to help someone or give something, all the things that I've gotten because of my family and close friends. So how I wanted to do that, I didn't know. I'm still working on it.
Well, I
Even
mean,
though I'm, yeah,
it's an evolution. It takes time. And the cool thing is just how much early life experiences can kind of intertwine with later life experiences.
yeah.
And something that I've always found really, really cool about like your family is just how much you have all traveled. But for yourself specifically, how many different countries have you been to? Can you like list them off to kind of give people a picture of like what your life has been like?
Yeah, I lived in Faroe Islands, so, yeah, the most of my childhood, and then I moved to Nepal, and then I went back, and then I went to Egypt for some months and Cairo, and then my parents went to East Jerusalem, and then I went there for some months as well. And when I was in Nepal, we traveled, yeah, across Asia. Yeah, I've been to Greenland because my parents moved there. So yeah, it's been a lot of different traveling because of family and friends and growing up with parents that think the thing about curiosity about culture and other people, not judging them, but being curious, how do other people live, and respecting them, even religious, whatever culture or yeah, color, whatever, doesn't matter. Yeah, so I guess my teenage years have been abroad, but still always knowing where I'm from,
Mm-hmm.
having a base is important, I think.
Definitely. Definitely. So when you are sort of either traveling or meeting people of different backgrounds, what are the things that are consistent for you? Like, what are the things, like, for example, if I go traveling, I might be like, okay, I'm just going to pack light because
Mm,
it gives me more agility. Or I might be thinking about, all right, when I'm on the plane, I want to listen to an audiobook because I kind of like to like learn something new as I'm traveling.
mm.
Or if I go to a different country, I like to walk a lot. And so it's like it doesn't matter if I don't know the scenery, I just like to walk a lot. So what are your things for you that you keep constant when you're going new places?
Travel light.
Yeah.
But yeah, like always look into what kind of culture it is. Do I, as a woman, can I wear, I don't know, a skirt or a t-shirt, or for respect of culture, do I have to have long sleeves and so on? So that's a thing I always check out, what's
Mhm,
okay and not to do. Usually I buy a magazine in the airport because I don't do that when I have home. So I
mhm,
tried to buy one. Now I had 3 kids and a small one. So that thing about maybe I have time for myself, if I'm lucky, to do that. But otherwise, it's making sure everyone else is happy. Then I can feel free to relax. Yeah, travel light and yeah, good shoes always. Always good
yeah.
shoes. Always.
So when it comes to shoes, what makes a good shoe in your opinion? Like I've seen you have a lot of Asics at your house and stuff like that. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
fan of that brand, but like what distinguishes a good shoe as far as you're concerned?
For my feet, it should be a bit white because I have a white foot, and it should be, what you call it, not a hard shoe. It should be, yeah, any kind of running shoe, like,
Yeah.
yeah, it should be something that not bouncy, but but yeah, it has to be good. Sometimes I do have trekking shoes, but it's only if I go, like, yeah, I don't know, in the mountains and so on. I use them, or it's winter. Otherwise, I think a good pair of, I don't know, some kind of normal running shoes. Yeah, I have a
Mhm,
son that really goes up into those running shoes. I'm not, yeah, yeah, you've got to bring me on that trip. So yeah, comfy, soft shoes, and maybe, yeah, again, if it's where it rains a lot, maybe waterproof would be a good thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
The brand isn't important for me, is if my foot is feeling good.
Well, I mean, the thing that stood out to me the most was just sort of like the mentality as to what activities you'd want to be prepared for. And
Yeah.
you sort of like outlined running shoes as sort of like a baseline. Like if you're going to choose one pair of shoes for multiple activities, it tends to seem to be something in line with running. And I tend to be
Yeah.
similar. Like sometimes I'll go to a formal event and then I'm wearing running shoes and I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't be wearing running shoes here because I'm just so used to always wanting to be ready for whatever is in store.
Yep.
And something that I really enjoyed about my trip to Denmark, among many things, was getting to see your family doing orienteering. I mean, also bouldering. That was kind of cool too. It was very humbling for me. But the orienteering was cool because I really liked to just kind of understand the dynamics of the sport,
Mm.
and sort of really be immersed in the community aspect, which I think is important. Like some of the things that I experienced through Denmark really solidified what I think is important for people when they're coaching fitness, like interweaving some of these things. So, like
Mm.
being able to go to a competitive event, but that also has like a community feel with like layers of mentorships. Like you can go in as a beginner and you're always going to
Mm.
have like a peer who is a little bit further ahead. Like if there's kids, there's older kids that help the younger kids, etc. If there's adults, there's like wise adults who can help you navigate the map. There's athletic adults who can kind of push you to your potential. And then a lot of things are missing those elements.
Mm.
There's all kinds of popular fitness things over here in North America. We have like the Pilates, we have the Jiu-Jitsu, we have pickleball, and the differentiating factor is having that community aspect that makes it better. So then with your experience, what would
Mm.
you say are the things that kind of stand out about making something like orienteering or even bouldering sustainable and valuable to your family, etc.?
I think yeah, orienteering is yeah, is the winner, but because for us, I mean, we're kind of new in the sport. We started 3 years ago, I think, and we can all do it, as you said. Like, my husband is a bit better than I am, and I had a child and so on. So I've been not running that much, but now I can go running. Someone is taking care of the small one, even though we're all three out running or four.
Hmm.
It's, as you said, it's a sport we all can do in our different levels. And I think you experienced it the way we see it. It's a family sport. When we go to Jutland, drive 4 hours for a weekend, some people think we're crazy, but we have fun. We're out in the woods in wintertime. We have it every Sunday where we can drive different places. And we go out. No one complains going out in rain or windy or snow, whatever. We know where we're doing. We're going out running, and they get the card that they need or a map. And then, it's a huge thing that we're so many different people. I would say some of them I would never be talking to or being friends with, and we're probably personally very different and like political. We're don't think the same, but
Hmm.
there we're all the same, and everyone, as you said, take cares of each other, and doesn't matter if you're good or not that good. I mean, you can be there. And I think for us, or as a parent, it's nice to have something that we can do, and the kids have fun, and have new friends and are out in the nature without me forcing them to go out.
Yeah.
Because that's an important thing for me to go out and appreciate nature. So I think, and then they learn how to navigate and stuff like that in a funny way. So I mean, but my kids are quite good. So even though they win a lot, it's also important to take care of the other ones. And even though you win, you have to, or lose. Sometimes it happens, but the thing is that it doesn't matter. Like the rest of the team or the rest of the group is also important. So yeah, be happy, but don't like think you're better than everyone else in that sense. Like you can do your goals, and that's good, and that's it. And then there's a lot of fun and playing, doesn't matter what the weather is. So yeah, it's a family sport for us, and it takes a lot of time, at least in the summer half.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. We can be together. Yeah. I mean, if someone went to soccer, then it would be a soccer match, and then that person and a parent. Now we can go all five.
Yeah.
And be with everyone else and have fun. So yeah, it works for us.
Yeah, well, I think it's something that was just cool to experience because it truly was like a whole family activity.
Yeah.
And just the community connections, like if anybody from anybody's family needed help, another family would step in, and there would be a lot of overlap to just make sure everybody was safe and having fun and to cheer on their relatives and stuff.
Yep.
And one of the things that you also brought up that I think is very common among a lot of fitness modalities, but I think that's the important part of fitness for connection, is just how a lot of times, like things like orienteering, or for myself, things like jujitsu, can bring together people of different professions, people different like political beliefs, stuff like that. And people are always going to be different. Like there's going to be very similarly aligned people who get along really well, but there's always going to exist people who are different but could be good at collaborating. And without things like sports or physical activities or some kind of a community initiative, those people never get to meet each other, and they end up missing out. It's kind of like if you hadn't traveled to the places that you'd been to, you wouldn't have like those values and experiences that you had that shaped you. So what do you think is missing in today's world that maybe you witness in orienteering, but you think there could be more of? I know it's a tough question, but
Well, I think like after Corona, like people were so learned a lot of being together as a family and all that. I think people started getting kind of what you call it, self-centered. And the thing I think it opens up is the what you call it, community feeling, helping each other, and that's what we also do in our club. I mean, it's, as you said, we have asked some of the this one lady, she has grown-up girls, and we needed someone to babysit our youngest one, and then she said, yeah, no problem. And we don't really know her, we only know her from that like community. So I think the thing about helping each other, and some cultures and some neighborhoods, it's quite good, and looking after each other. I think, even as you said, it doesn't matter who you are, if you like a person or not, or they believe the same thing, as long as they're not like hitting someone or doing something really bad, we should all make sure everyone is okay and look after each other. That's what I think. It's a important thing. It doesn't matter who you are. Yeah, I think making sure, like, you can't save everyone, but if you see something, just help out if it's wrong. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, when I think about it, I often think about how I should be seeing people in situations that are different from my own. For example, like in Edmonton, there's like a pretty significant houseless population where like they are living in bushes or somewhere far away. And so when I'm thinking about them, I'm thinking about what would their life have been before they got into that situation. Or I am thinking about what initiative could I make that would be like middle ground that could potentially help them out. So maybe contributing to a food drive or donating to a local shelter, because there's so much from their journey that isn't too dissimilar from other people. So one of the other things that I was thinking about as we were kind of discussing routines and orienteering was just about how sometimes it seemed there was some resistance for the kids in going outside. Do you find that to be a common thing, or is it just once in a while? Because I know like North American society is definitely very prevalent. Like a lot of kids, they want to be on social media or they want to be playing games and they don't necessarily want to just go outside and play with a stick. But what has your experience been as a parent in Denmark?
Well, the gaming is a thing. It was a thing for a son, and it was quite hard to get him offline. And he said, "Yeah, but everyone else is online, so who am I gonna go out with or play with or whatever?" And then it's hard for me to say, "Yeah, you can hang out with me." But it, I mean, he was, yeah, he got a kind of, I don't know what to say, angry or like, yeah, he needed to go out or at least use his body and brain on something else. And it changed with him watching something on social media and you being here, like someone else to, yeah, I don't know what you could say, like someone else to look up to. That's not gaming or whatever. And when you were here, we did a lot of walks
Hmm.
in the evening, quite long, and that came like kind of a competition. Now we need to walk like 5 kilometers or 8 or whatever. I mean, and that was a thing. After you left, it didn't keep up that long, but it was a start.
Yeah.
And yeah, finding out through getting, I mean, doing something else like orienteering, going at playing soccer, whatever you can do helps, and where you are with someone else at your own age or someone you can look up to helped us a lot. Now there's no gaming and hasn't been for a year.
Hmm.
Of course, social media is still there, but it's not that much. He puts what you have timer or whatever on himself that he has to move so much before he can watch half an hour or on some social media platform. So in Denmark, it's also a thing, and that's the thing of being a parent. I don't know. I think it's harder because there's so many choices now compared when I was small. I remember I turned on BBC Prime or whatever. There was some children's whatever there, and there was certain times at the day you can watch stuff you want, and now you can choose all the time.
Yeah.
So it's a new thing for parents, and you have to have rules and stand by them. And sometimes it's okay, but yeah, well, getting chores outside, we have a lawn, and so go out, fix it, whatever.
Hmm.
It depends on where you live, but also you are you're the adult, and if I just sit there and watch TV or sit with my phone, that's what my children are gonna copy. So if I want them to do something else, I have to show them something else. Yeah. So it's a thing here as well. And there's a lot of talk about young people being depressed, not going to school, not feeling good about themselves. And I guess that's a worldwide thing.
Yes.
The most part. Yeah, I try to teach my kids as like when I went traveling and went to school in Nepal, there were 6 different religion, or we came from, I don't know, 16 different countries, different cultures, but it didn't matter. We were there to learn.
Hmm.
So I try to give them the same thing. You might be good at this, but then someone else is good at something else, and try to use that positive. Yeah, I think it's hard, but it paid out. And I found this running coach that wanted to motivate Liam, our older son, and that helped a lot as well. He's a person that needs to set goals and so on, so it helped. I think you need to find out what type of kid or whatever it is, and what can you do to support whatever they're good at or want to try, even though they're not good at it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, well, I liked that because it was like there was so much to take away from that. Like, I'm very glad that the walking was enjoyed as much as it was because I had a great time. And I was like, I should come back to visit sooner rather than later, which I probably will if I'm allowed.
You're allowed. You're allowed.
But yeah, so it was just that how powerful walking can be because I
Yeah.
use it as like a connection tool for so many different people. Like I use walking for like business meetings, for catching up with friends, and I try to sneak in walking for people in my life of all ages, shapes, and sizes. Like I usually go for a walk every week with my parents. Any chance that I have to go on a walk with any other family members, I go for it. And it's just because it's like you can make a walk be part of like going on the way to pick up some stuff from the store, or you can make a walk as an alternative to being on a Zoom call. Like for a lot of
Yes.
people after like Corona and everything, they're tired of being on virtual calls all the
Mm.
time. And so meeting up with people for walks can be helpful. But then also just you outlined how it's helpful for people to have kind of like a goal for themselves because it kind of motivates them to kind of see what they have to improve, even if they're not good at something at the start.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, it's very, very simple. A lot of people might think, well, that's too easy. But when somebody establishes a goal, then it makes it mean something to them.
Yeah.
And an exercise that I've done with some of my online clients is I'll get them, and I actually learned this from my friend Wilson Wong. He's like a local entrepreneur here in the city, and he's basically revitalizing Chinatown in Edmonton. So he's a pretty cool guy. And one of the things that he recommended was writing down a list of 100 goals or like 100 things that you want to accomplish, however you want to look at it. And what I found interesting about that is because like most people could probably write down 15 and then they'd be done writing.
Yep.
And so if you write down 100, you really have to think. Like you have to think about things that you might not have wanted to do at first,
Mm.
or you might write down things that you thought weren't for you. Maybe it was like, no, I'm not good enough for that. And it gets people to really dig deep and realize like what they want to do with their life.
Yeah.
And like the online client that has kind of taken this on, she has done so many different things that she wouldn't have expected that she'd do. And she's had to add to the list within the year because she's like crossing things off so fast. And it's because she's intentional about what she wants to do in life.
Mm.
So some of the things that we've addressed in our conversation is just like how people struggle with like maybe they're battling some form of depression or mental health thing as kids or as adults.
Mm.
Maybe they're not seeing the point to going outside. So like in Canadian and North American society, we have a whole bunch of fast food, and then that makes it so that every time somebody has a meal, they're consuming probably 2 to 3 times the amount of calories that they probably should have,
Mm.
but it doesn't look like it's a lot of calories. It's just how it's prepared.
Yeah.
And so because of that, a lot of people have lifestyle problems. But my experience in Denmark was there's not quite as many fast food shops. Like there's a lot, but
Mm.
not quite as much.
No.
So it's a little easier to eat, a bit healthier there, although it's probably getting tougher and tougher as things change.
Mm.
But then when it comes to movement and stuff, you still need to have like the motivation to go move.
Mm.
I think that's going to be something that's going to be very valuable. Like that's where people like you will stand out because of your life experiences and your expertise. You'll be able to help people connect the dots as to like, okay, I want to move better and this is why and this is how I'll do it because I've established these goals and they have some meaning to me. And it doesn't always have to be me by myself. I can go into these group fitness things.
Yeah.
I can be part of this community. And then even just like with nutrition, like some of the posts that you're doing on your social media talking about the nutrients in certain foods or
Mm.
the difference in preparing things in different ways. I think that's going to be more and more important. And it's just a matter of people realizing like what they're missing out on.
Yeah.
So with that, when is the last time that you have interacted with somebody where they realized that they were missing either basic nutrition or they were missing like the minimum amount of activity. Like they were barely moving and then they moved more and then like, wow, I feel so much better. Or maybe they hadn't prepared a meal for themselves in a long time than they did or somebody else did for them.
Yeah, good one. Well, I actually, yeah, I think it's 3 weeks ago where I started having someone that like really wanted to change and so on, but it was someone that didn't work out and didn't do anything, but knew that the last 10 years they gained a lot of weight and I used to be able to eat all these things and so on. And so I asked, where do we start? Do you want like the food or is it trying to exercise? And the exercise was goal number one. And yeah, and then we started and it, now it's every day a bit. I made a program where he uses weights and his own weight, but also I said if you are able to or can, you can go on the treadmill or what you call the rowing machine. And after that, I talked with him again, and yeah, he does that because it's easy. He has training things at home, and that works for him and the family. So it's also so it's going better and the weight is going off slowly but safely. And for me it's more about changing habits
Mm-hmm.
and how to do that. So he's a person that did that, but also I have this other person that knows a lot about health and is eats a lot of things the right way, but the trigger or what needed to the person needed to help with was to see that it was okay to do something for herself,
Yeah.
like doing something for everyone else and so on. And I can't like relax, and I kind of needed to help that person. Like it's okay to sit on the sofa and watch TV.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the opposite. So I think it's for me I meet a lot of different people that are in different places in their life. So it's all about habits, good and bad. So even though you know what's right, I mean, I guess you and me, we know a lot of things what
Mm-hmm.
we should do, and sometimes we do the opposite because we might have a bad day or a bad month or whatever, and it's easy to not do the right thing. It's
Yeah.
easy to go down the corner and buy some fast food or whatever. It tastes good.
Yeah.
Feels nice for a moment, but then the bad feeling comes or whatever. So you try and I mean, and then I say, but it's okay to sin or whatever you call it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you keep on going and not give up
Yeah.
the good habits. So yeah, I guess that's the difference for me because it's quite a while since I met someone that hasn't prepared their own dinner and so on. Because I guess in Denmark, that's the most people do that. Still do that.
Yeah.
But when I used to be a mentor, I met some of the young people that, again, what do you come from? Are you raised in a family where you cook dinner or not? Have you been taught how to do it? And then you go out for yourself, you buy energy drinks and live of noodles is a thing where I try to try to take one vegetable in with your noodles. Or you can also buy salads. See when the date like is trying to close to where it shouldn't be sold, the price goes down,
Yeah.
and then that helped. And got a positive person, and also that without going out for a walk just once a week. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
do it 5 times. Slowly but safe. I don't know. Yeah. And that's what I think is hard because people are different and come from different it's interesting and it's what motivates me, but it's also difficult because you need kind of those 100 things or goals to get moving or believing that you can do it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I find that meeting different personalities, you kind of learn to read the personality to establish what brings meaning to the goals for them.
Yeah.
Because it's always going to be a wide spectrum of different people. Like even just like in my community, there's some people who all 3 meals a day that they eat are all delivered to them from a fast food place. And so it's clear that they don't cook. And then there's other people where I'll be walking through like the hallway of my building and I can smell like it's a fresh cooked meal.
Mm.
The cool thing is like a lot of the reasoning for this is like my community is very diverse at this moment. Like there's a lot of people who just moved to Canada. There's people who have been in Canada for like 3 generations. And so like different people's backgrounds, different people's cultures, different people's circumstances tend to influence all of that. And so then if somebody was finding that they were struggling, they almost need to create a set of maybe not rules, but perhaps like values
Yeah.
that make it meaningful for them. So one of my other online clients that I was recently talking to was asking like if I had 3 takeaways for him as to basically how he would keep himself on track. And so what I shared with him was that when he is walking, he should make it about connection.
Mm.
Because it's one thing for me to tell him to go on walks. He knows he needs to go on walks, but that doesn't necessarily land well with him.
Mm.
But he's someone who loves to like visit with people and talk to them and learn new things. And so when I said that like every walk has to have connection, then it almost makes him more inclined to go on that walk because now
Yes.
like he has to find new people to talk to, or if he's walking by himself, he has to walk until he meets a new friend, and that makes it mean something more to him. And then the other one that I instilled was making sure that he always has like a sense of like purpose. And so for a lot of people, if they are sort of like taking in other people's work, whether it be watching something on TV or playing a game that somebody else designed and was inspired by, like you don't necessarily have a sense of purpose because if you stop doing what you're doing, life would go on.
Mm.
And so then you have to, whether it be some people decide they want to volunteer, other people might decide they want to mentor somebody, other people might decide that they want to just consistently solve problems, like problems that if they weren't there, those problems would be unsolved.
Mm.
And it's just about finding that. And when I talk to people who are like, let's say they're over 65 years old, they start to lose that sense of purpose. And so you instill that for them so that they can continue to be active and that they can continue to connect because without purpose, it's like, what's the point? I'm just going to stay inside and watch movies. And then the third one, if I remember correctly, was to always go on adventures because by encouraging people to go on adventures, it usually incorporates more movement. It also gets you out of your like familiar environment. Like something that I enjoy is when I go to different places, like even if it's like I went to Missouri earlier this year and went to the grocery stores there. So it's like I don't have to try and guess what the products are because it's still all in English. And I don't have to be scared to go through the checkout and worry about what to say. But it's still like they sell different products and they like some stores don't have as much vegetables. Some stores don't have good dairy products. Some stores have terrible variety of bread. Like nobody matches what Denmark has for bread. Like I haven't been able to find the bread anywhere. There's some close stuff, but it's not the same. But just when people go on adventures, it helps them get used to these new settings and it helps them figure out like how they're going to be on track. It keeps their mind active, it gets them thinking, and it challenges them in ways that makes them feel like there's something that we're doing here and I want to do another one of these things. And so those are sort of what I established for that individual because he was going to go off on his own. He wasn't going to continue with like the weekly coaching that he had been doing for, I think, just over a year and a half. But it's just that so many of these things can apply to people of so many different backgrounds.
Yeah.
But it's just a matter of us being able to understand people's personalities enough to kind of figure out, like, how do we have to connect the dots? It's like with you and your oldest, just being able to see for him that, like, kind of always having to do a little bit further on the walk
Yep.
or faster, like that made it so that he wanted to be the first one out the door. It was just that little tiny detail. So then, with all that said, if you were to list off 100 goals today, but you just had to share the first 4 of them, what would the first 4 goals be?
For me,
Yep.
plan my week and keeping that, whatever I put on it. Go out walking or running every day, and making a meal plan,
Mm-hmm.
and being better. Yeah, what you said, like being social, going out for a walk with someone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that. Those are good goals, and it's goals that just about everybody can borrow from. So it's very valuable. And with that said, I am going to ask you one final question. And this is a question that when I first started podcasting back in 2018, I would ask people this all the time. And I've been bringing it back because there's a certain power to the answers that people give that can kind of like, it's almost like a time capsule. So if you were to give someone one piece of advice on how to live their life to the fullest in the most authentic way, where they were just being themselves, what would that piece of advice be?
That's a tough one. Yeah. Just do, if you think of doing something, then do it instead of not doing it. Like, even though people don't believe in you, just
Yeah,
go.
I
Yeah.
like that. Like, if you think of doing something instead of just thinking about it, just go do it.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't feel like it'll work out, even if people don't think it'll work, just do it.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a fan of that piece of advice. That's excellent.
Yeah.
And then with that, that will end our episode. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you.